Good morning. It is just after 7:30 on day 69 on trail. We're just heading away from Tom Floyd shelter. I hope you guys can hear me. It's pretty windy and the trees are making quite a lot of noise above me. Last night was a little bit of a disaster. We kind of had a little bit of a debate whether we'd walk an extra 3 miles to get to a hostel to be able to stay out of the rain, and then the weather cleared up a little bit and it was looking really good and we opted to stay at the shelter instead. So we set up camp there and just as we were going to sleep, pretty much the first pitter patter of rain started. And the problem we've been having quite a lot recently with these hard tent pads is splashback. So the fly from the tent that we're using sits quite high off the ground, and when it rains really hard the water splashes off the ground inside the tent, which is no fun for anybody. This can be managed a little bit by putting duff around the edges of the tent in the drip line to kind of absorb some of that splash. Ideally camping in grass works great because that grass absorbs it instead, but we didn't have any of that set up when it first started raining. So I got up and quickly put some out just for the little spits, and it wasn't really an issue. And then we woke up in the middle of the night and it was absolutely bucketing down. Serious amount of rain. And of course we were getting splashback pretty much every side. Raiden managed to deal with his side from inside of the tent. However, then the stake in the corner of my tent, well, in the corner by my head I guess, it came out and the tent collapsed inwards on me, and at the same time the piece of elastic which holds the inner to the fly on Raiden's side of the tent also came down, and he wasn't wearing his contact lenses, so he can't see that great to do that back up. So I fixed that up and then went outside in the absolutely pouring rain to try and stake my corner back in. And while I was out there I got some more duff and tried to make that better as well, but it didn't work that well, which was a bit of a bummer. The rain, that heavy rain I guess, didn't last too long, and it just kind of spat through the rest of the night. I also wonder if there's an issue, maybe a small hole in the floor of the tent, because I had a lot of water under my sleeping pad this morning, and the same yesterday morning as well after that rain. There's also maybe a small hole in the fly somewhere above Raiden's head. It seems that if the water hits it just right, then we get a splash straight through the ceiling. It kind of makes me wonder if we should think about using a different tent. It was a really cheap tent. I actually bought it on the PCT last year when my duplex failed me, and it cost me $80 US for the tent. It's a double wall, effectively the same shape as a duplex, what I call a duplex knockoff I guess, made in China. But it's not quite big enough for 2 people, and at the same time, you know, we've been having these splashbacks and waterproofing issues, so it is a bit of a bummer. But at the same time, you know, don't really want to spend money on something like that either, so for now I think we'll not worry about it and try and hope that it doesn't become more of an issue. I'm going to pick up some sealant when we get into town, and try and seal a couple of places where the waterproofing doesn't seem to be holding that well. So hopefully that will help, but otherwise we'll make do for now and maybe think about doing something about it later. So today we're doing a big day. It has to be a big day. We have to get to Harper's Ferry, ideally on Wednesday night, being tomorrow night, or early on Thursday morning, in order to get to DC on Thursday. It's a bit of a bummer. The terrain looks really easy on the profile, doesn't look too bad, but I gather from some of the comments on Guthook that it could be pretty hard underfoot and a bit of a struggle. So we're hoping to just smash out as many miles as we can today, and then see where that leaves us for tomorrow, I guess. If we need to, we can do a few miles on Thursday morning, but ideally I'd like to get to Harper's Ferry on Wednesday night. As a bonus, we do seem to have blue sky at the moment, and the sun is trying to come out, so it looks like it could be a good day today for the first time in a few days, which will be really nice. So we just stopped for a long sit-down break near the turn-off to Whiskey Hollow shelter. We have 8.2 miles to go today to get to Rod Hollow shelter. We've already walked about 16 miles, I think. Thought we'd walked a little bit further than that. Maybe we've walked 18 miles so far today. 29 k's. So yeah, it's gonna be a pretty big day. It's already 20 past 3, so we're not moving that quickly. Raiden's feet are giving him a little bit of trouble. He got some new shoes a couple of days ago, and they're not proving to be as good as he thought they might be, so that's a bit of a bummer. One of the cracks on my heels is coming back. It's also a bit of a bummer. I should be able to take that up tomorrow. Yeah. Anyway, uphill. Talking is hard. So we got to the campsite around 6:30 and we've set up on a little bit of a slanty slope, but it shouldn't be too bad tonight. Dinner's been made, water's been fetched, and I'm definitely ready to take some weight off my feet because they're a little bit tired after today. Tomorrow we've got to do the same thing again before we can get to Harper's Ferry on Thursday. Tomorrow we have to go through the Virginia roller coaster, so that should be a little bit of fun. Good morning. It's just before 7:30 on day 70 on trail. Good night's sleep last night. However, I woke up this morning with a splitting headache, which really sucks. I have to do another marathon today, so I'm hoping it goes away soon. Both Raiden and I have got a 10 defeat this morning as well, so that's going to make it a little bit more fun as well. On the upside, we are going to pass the 1,000-mile mark today, which is pretty exciting. We get to what they call the spiritual halfway point, Harper's Ferry tomorrow. It's not the actual halfway point, but it's the nearest town, I believe, so it's pretty cool as well. We just hit 1,000 miles, which is pretty darn exciting. I had my little singer-song, the 1,000-mile song, and also I guess the 500-mile song, because you know, 500 miles, 500 more to walk 1,000 miles. This trail's tough this morning. Virginia roller coaster is no joke. It's kind of almost what I expected the whole trail to be like, and I'm pretty glad that it's not. So I don't think we've walked very far so far today. And it's definitely going to be a long one, trying to get to 26 miles. But you know, we're getting closer. It's really cool. Less than not very many miles, I guess, to Harper's Ferry. So there was just an official 1,000 marker on a tree, quite a long way after the 1,000-mile marker made out of stones on the ground. I'm not sure which one's correct. I keep my GPS navigation app Guthook in kilometers, so it's obviously no help to me in figuring that one out. But we've definitely passed 1,000 miles one way or the other. I'm sure that the total length of the trail has changed since that one was put on the tree, so that might not be right, but somewhere in between those two might be it as well. You're missing something?
Too busy paying attention to the rocks. This section sucks.
Just crossed the border into West Virginia. The largest states down. Another one ticked off the list. Very exciting. Also, getting ever closer to wherever we get to stop tonight. I'll be ready to stop for a little bit. And it's only 2 o'clock. There's still plenty of trail left today. So we just officially finished the roller coaster, which makes me feel very happy. Interestingly enough, there's a little warning label stuck on the sign for the roller coaster that said, you know, warning to hikers, long sections that are unblazed, etc. This is gut hook territory. And then another comment underneath which says, it's really not that hard, signed blouse.
300 what?
300 what? I don't know. So we just had a quick stop off at David Lesser Memorial Shelter. It's 5 to 6 and we've got 8 more kilometers, about 5 more miles to do today. It's going to be probably our latest stopping time for the trail so far, I'd think. Combination of trying to walk a long way and also the trail being pretty difficult this morning.